This is going to be my cornfield this year. I know, what a mess, right? I've got the grapes and the falling down fence over there, and there's the remnants of last year's weeds and a lot of wild carrot and a little bit of goldenrod and a bunch of other things. But this is going to be my cornfield. And today I started tilling it. Now, several years ago, I realized that I had a collection of flower corn varieties. And I realized that I was not going to be able to keep them genetically isolated in order to maintain separate varieties. So I mixed them all together and I planted them. Now, you don't want to plant sweet corn and flower corn together. But my goal here is to eventually have a somewhat genetically stable, open-pollinated landrace variety of flower corn for my own use. Since I don't have a rototiller and don't want one, I figured I would go with the old style and do corn hills. Now, it's March 31st, 2020, and it's still too cold in Maine to be planting corn. But at least I got out here and I started digging my hills. My shovel, when I stick it in the ground about that far, stands up about 4 feet tall. So I used my shovel as my measure, and the hills are 4 feet apart in their rows, and the rows are 4 feet apart as well. And, I think I can fit something like 100 hills in here. In order to prevent the crows from eating them again, and to help them germinate sooner without rotting in the ground, because if you plant corn in cold ground, you can easily lose all your seed that way. What I'm doing is I've got these cages made out of 6-inch square mesh. This is a concrete sidewalk reinforcement wire. And I've got these little cages. Is that going to stop a crow? No, it's not. But if I wrap the cages in a scrap of plastic, that should do it. Now, this is not standard lumberyard visqueen. This is greenhouse plastic. It is UV stable somewhat. This particular lot of it is scavenged, it's old, and the way that it fails, according to the manufacturer, is that the wind rattles at it enough until it turns milky, kind of like this has. It actually can hold up without breaking for close to a decade. But I've got these scraps. I've wrapped this cage, and I'll be wrapping a lot more of these cages. And when it comes time to plant, I will put in, probably about 10 seeds, maybe 12, and I will thin it to maybe 6 or 8 stalks once it's up and I can see what's strongest. And yeah, there's all these weeds here and a cat, and the corn stalks should grow up enough to smother most of the weeds, or at least keep them far enough down where they're not strong competition. And this way I will have a reasonable amount of flower corn for the coming year. Quite a lot of flower corn for the coming year, really. And I'll be keeping alive, I hope, this technique of growing it. Because this is designed from a culture where they did not have steel tools. And the labor that goes into tilling a field is quite a lot. And for corn and things that can grow up tall enough to not have a problem with the competition, this will do.